Okay, let's dive into this incredible story of a brutal war and the absolutely desperate behind-the-scenes attempts to stop it. We're going to see how sometimes, even with the best of intentions, peace can be completely and utterly impossible.
So you have this devastating war, right? You bring in international mediators to try and forge a peace deal. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, as it turns out, pretty much everything. In this explainer, we're going to break down how some conflicts have this political logic that justifies any kind of peaceful solution, no matter how hard diplomats try. It's a really fascinating and pretty tragic case study.
All right, so our story kicks off with the American minister to Paraguay, a guy named Charles Washburn. Now, his mission to bring about peace started with a much more basic problem. He couldn't even get to his post. And this is what's so wild. The obstacles to diplomacy weren't just at the negotiating table. They were literal, physical barriers. For a whole year, military commanders from the Triple Alliance, that's Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, literally blocked Washburn from even reaching Paraguay. Imagine being a peace negotiator and you can't even get into the country. He was denied passage by a general, then blocked by an entire naval fleet. It took him a full year and a flag of truce just to finally set foot in the country.
So after all that, after a year of just trying to get to his desk, Washburn finally gets his chance. He meets with Paraguay's President López, he listens, and then he heads over to the Allied camp to sit down with their top commander, General Caxias. This is it. This is the moment where you think, okay, maybe peace is actually possible here. And bam, right there. That's the deal breaker. Caxias just lays it out crystal clear. He says there's nothing to talk about, no deal to be made unless President López is gone first. This wasn't a point of negotiation. It was a precondition. It was the price of admission to even start talking. And that one condition, that absolute focus on getting rid of one guy, it basically poisoned every single attempt at peace from that point on. And this right here, this is the whole problem in a nutshell. Both sides say they want peace, but look at the conditions. They are completely 100% mutually exclusive. It is an absolute stalemate. For the Allies, the entire point of the war is to remove López. For López, the entire point is to stay in power. There is absolutely no middle ground. So the Allies even tried to, sweeten the pot a little. They hinted at something called a puerta de oro, a golden door, basically a golden parachute. They were unofficially offering him a comfortable retirement in exile if he'd just step down and end the bloodshed. But for López, no way. Power wasn't just his job, it was everything. He refused to even consider it.
So just when it seems like diplomacy is totally dead in the water, a new player enters the scene, almost by accident. A British diplomat, a Mr. Gould, who shows up on a totally different mission.
Gould's job was supposed to be simple, at least on paper. He was there to get British citizens out of the war zone. That's it. He wasn't there to make peace. He was just on a rescue mission.
But from the second he got there, his mission was blown. President López put him up in a hut with walls so thin they were basically paper. The quote says it all. It was like trying to hold a private conversation in a house of paper. He had zero privacy. Any chance of a confidential mission just went right out the window.
Okay, so Gould realizes his rescue mission is a total bust. So what does he do? He makes this absolutely stunning pivot. This diplomat, who has no official authority to be doing this, ends up drafting the most detailed peace plan of the entire war. And get this, it was probably President López himself who asked him to write it. And then López's government formally accepted it.
And it was a pretty brilliant plan. I mean, look at this. It addresses almost everything. A secret pre-agreement, a guarantee of Paraguay's independence, neutral arbitration for border disputes, all armies go home, and, this is a big one, no war reparations. It's incredibly comprehensive. But you can see it right there at the end, step 6. It's still all hinged on that one single critical condition. President López had to retire. So even though López himself said yes to this plan, for the Allies it was still a no-go. The core problem was still there.
So why? Why did everything fall apart? Even this really creative, detailed plan from this totally unexpected diplomat couldn't break the deadlock. Well, the reasons, it turns out, go a lot deeper than just one stubborn leader.
When you put it all together, you see it's like a perfect storm of diplomatic failure. You've got the Allies' absolute, unmovable demand. You've got other governments, like Argentina, just politely dodging any real commitment to mediation. You have the personal distrust growing, with López even accusing the American diplomat of being bribed. And on top of all that, you have military commanders just physically stopping negotiators from talking to each other. I mean, diplomacy had no room to breathe. It was suffocating.
And all of this leads to the really tough question we're left with here. This whole story is a stark reminder that even though peace is almost always the goal, sometimes the political price, which in this case was total surrender for one side, is just seen as too high to pay. And in those moments, even the most dedicated mediators find out that war, tragically, has a logic all its own.